Attention! Please be advised. The following episode contains spoilers. Don't say we didn't warn you.
Thing of like the thing the world has too much of, little girls. And I was like, wee. But
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need but deserve, where all levels of nerd are welcome.
Yeah, you are.
After a full year without a Marvel film,
Yep.
here we are.
Oh.
Finally, getting the Phase 1
thought it was
film
2
we should have
years.
gotten. Is it two? No, we had.
I read so many articles that said their first Marvel
No,
film in 2 years.
Is time even real
we had
anyway?
2019. We had Far From Home. And Endgame was 2019. And 2020 was the only year we didn't have it. Everyone's just starving.
Oh.
And they don't have any other.
You can
But
continue
now
the intro
we
now.
can eat because
Thanks, Caitlin. Set in between Captain America Civil War and Avengers Infinity War, today's marquee topic is Black Widow.
There it is.
dun dun dun.
I don't know what this music
And funny story. We were supposed
The
to.
music is spiders.
it's not.
So-
It's spiders, they're spiders.
We were
Yeah.
supposed to record this episode a year ago. We even did an
comic book.
episode on the comic book that this is loosely based on.
Loosely.
Loosely.
Very loose.
And
It's like looser than me.
we were like, yeah, next week we're going to do Black Widow. Quarantine.
Yeah.
So
But we stayed on our schedule.
Yes.
We still did the comic book.
we
If
did.
the movie was still available, we would have done it.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's not get too far into it because you're getting a taste of what the episode's going to be like. Let's introduce the host. My name is Tom.
I'm Caitlin.
And I am Josh, and this episode is brought to you in part by the members of the Nerd On Nation that is powered by...
Patreon.
As a member of the Nerd On Nation, you do get fun perks. Like, you get early access to these episodes. You get bonus episodes that nobody else hears, including the Nerd On Minute, where we will break down something in a minute. You
true.
also get access to secret channels on our super public Discord server. It's pretty dope, so do check that out. And at the same time, you get to support us and being the best that we can be. We get to upgrade our content, and it's just really fun. It's just really fun. So check it out, nerdon.tv/Patreon. And check out that Discord, nerdon.tv/Discord. And some fun stuff.
What?
This podcast is sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the easiest way to create your own podcast. We use Podbean to host Nerd On the Podcast, the Nerd On Update, and the Capeless Crusaders. Download the free Podbean podcast app to start, record, and publish your very own podcast in minutes. Podbean provides everything you need to run your podcast, and you can record and publish episodes directly from the app. It's pretty
Oh.
dope, right on your phone.
Convenient.
Download the free Podbean app today. That's PODBEAN Podbean.
That makes me think that Podbean is actually just a cat that makes podcasts because they've got little pod beans.
I don't know if we're going to get approved for that.
Well,
Too late.
check it out. Podbean. What else, Tom?
But that's not all, y'all.
Oh,
It's
God.
time for us to shine. Did you know that support for Nerd On the Podcast is also brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels.
Get
you
it?
know? You know what I'm saying?
No.
Manscaped just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right. The 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with the exclusive offer to you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code NERDON at manscaped.com. Yeah, that's it. Manscaped.com. That's it. Nerd On. I mean, I'm pretty glad because look at this. Look at this engineering feat. I have the 3.0. I have the 3.0 at home.
But now you have the 4.0.
Now I have the 4.0.
Tom was about this business before this happened.
Well, okay, look, so
he's
time out.
Super excited right now.
I love the fact that we're actually getting support from Manscaped for our first time. And I've been a big fan of Manscaped. So now the fact that we're able to have the 4.0 on our show and then also like suggest it to our listeners is like Like, it's when you actually can suggest something that you actually approve of. It's really, really fun and cool, and something that I actually use every week. And like I told all my friends about it. I'm like, guys, y'all gotta check this out. And the perfect package is pretty great.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty great, y'all.
I mean, I have been, to be perfectly honest, and totally TMI, but I was really afraid of Manscaped, or not like manscaping in general, because I've had an experience
Oh, okay.
where there was blood, and
Yeah.
it wasn't great.
More nicks than a Santa Claus convention.
Exactly, and not so much with this.
Huh.
Not so much.
Not so much?
So much.
You know, I have to say I haven't really done much manscaping.
No?
I'm not really afflicted by the south ball hair.
Oh.
I have north balls, and that's what happens when they go north. They lose their hair
Oh.
most of the time.
Got it.
So I won't be able to speak from experience about that specifically, but I am very happy that both of you feel protected.
Different struggles for different muggles.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
All
But
right.
that means, yes, 20% off your first order with promotion code NERDON on manscaped.com.
Check it out. And one final piece of housekeeping. If you like what you hear today, like this mess that you've been hearing in our intro, share us with your friends and family, and rate and review wherever you listen, whether it is Apple Podcast, Spotify, Podchaser, we're everywhere. Check it out. Rate and review, share with your friends and family. And that's the housekeeping.
Wow.
Let's get into this marvel of an episode.
I knew it.
I'm
I
not
was like,
happy
it's gonna
about
be
it.
some
You're happy,
cheese.
but you are.
No, I'm
There's a
happy.
smile.
I'm happy for you that it's brought you joy, and that's the only reason.
That's good for you. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, there we go.
That's what it is.
happy for you, bro.
But not for me. So that brings us to our first two segments of the show. Our first one, which deals with the end of the show, which is
Guess That Grump.
Dun-
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
That's not
Nope,
right.
it's a Black Widow.
Anyway, so if you're brand new to Guess That Grump and Nerd On, you're welcome for that delightful tune that's better than every other Marvel Cinematic Universe score.
Yeah.
Talking to you, Alan Silvestri. So we're at the point where we're going to round the table, not the digital screens, but the table. Yeah, still.
We've been here for 6 weeks at least, and you're still getting used to it.
Yeah.
I'm committed to a dream, and when I get married to one idea, I stick with it. It's hard to
The
break
dream is just being locked in your bedroom,
It's to say
making content
it's
over a digital.
It's to say this part without stuttering.
Got it.
So we're gonna go around and guess who's gonna have the lowest score from 1 out of 5. No matter how high the number is, the lowest one will be the grump for the week. And since
Caitlin hasn't experienced the ultimatum that is only 3 hosts,
yeah, it is a thing. It is a
where
thing.
you only have 2 people to choose, and you're like, who do I choose?
I'm not even worried about it though.
no.
We talked about it on episode. It was a thing. Look
So,
it up.
Caitlin, would
Yeah.
you like to go first since I had to write also down the note here?
I think it's gonna be Tom.
Okay, 1 for Tom. Josh, go ahead.
I'm going to vote for Tom, too.
Okay. Well, guys, if you are interested, because you're just like, man, y'all picking Tom because he always has some smack to say about some Marvel thing, but maybe it's Caitlin because he didn't represent women in a fashionable light or something in that sense, or maybe Josh just wanted to not like a movie for the first time in his life. You, listening right now, can be part of this Guess That Grump segment by joining that Nerd On Nation, baby, and voting in our poll that we have. And the votes are in, y'all. Josh, Caitlin, you're both right because they vote for me, Tom. So 3 votes on me, and since I have to vote for someone else, I'm just gonna throw away a vote and throw it at Caitlin.
Is it just that
It's a throwaway quote.
Okay.
It's a throwaway one for sure, just because I'm like, oh,
you don't have a good reason.
well,
so
no
you're
matter
just
what,
like-
I'm going last.
Yeah.
So
So now it'll be Josh, then me, then Tom.
yes.
Okay, great.
For at the very end, we'll reveal our numbers. But now we could go into our next segment, which is going to be the complete spoiler of that, which is the brief synopsis, our first impressions and our initial reactions.
Yeah.
I've been talking a lot. Who would like to go?
I'll go first. I'm really jealous of you guys because
Yeah.
you got to experience this in the theaters.
In IMAX.
You and IMAX. I didn't get
That's
to.
a very important thing to add on. It was an IMAX.
With
It was
this film,
beautiful.
yeah. You
Yeah.
can be like, whoa.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I watched this movie 3 times.
Wow.
Whoa.
Okay.
It was fun. It was nice to have her finally get. It's a little
Her phase 1 movie.
her face.
Yeah.
It's really
kind of.
it's bittersweet because it's like, man, now.
We're gonna wait till
Now.
later.
But I really enjoyed it. Everybody was. It was fantastic to see Rachel Weisz again. It was fantastic to see Harbor on the big screen.
Siget, bro.
It was Florence. She's amazing, and ScarJo. She's just amazing too. So it's just really cool to kind of get that origin-ish story
I will
from her.
say, take some solace. Did you know that if you watch these Disney Plus films with the premium, it actually has a higher end back end for the writers?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
I learned that on another show
Interesting.
about writers, and they're like, well, just take some solace in that. You are paying a little bit more, but a little bit more of that versus like the regular movie concessions goes to the writers.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a lot
Yeah.
that, like, when you break down movie sales
That's
of what is
weird.
actually your money is
We
going
should
towards.
talk about that one day because I don't know about that, and I would love to be educated on that.
Maybe we'll do it on like a Patreon bonus episode.
That would be cool. Let's do that.
Mm.
Anyway,
Fun stuff. So no spoilers, just initial reaction.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It was
Caitlin,
a fun movie.
You or me?
I go.
Okay. She had that blink and a bajillion transactions happened to her.
I liked it.
And scene.
And scene. No, a lot of times when movies are 2 hours plus long, I reach at least 1 or 2 points where I'm very aware that it's a long movie. And I'll kind of snap out of the movie and be like, oh yeah, I wonder where we are in the time for this. I bet we're like an hour, maybe an hour and 10. And then I'm totally checked out of the movie because I'm just like, oh, this is a really long movie. And then
You're
I go
doing the
back in.
beautiful mind of like,
Oh yeah,
we're
all
an
the
hour and a
equations.
Well,
half.
it's
formulas
just
and-
when you start feeling like you're watching a movie instead of like
Exactly.
being told a story. And also, you've been kind of like on the fatigue of the superhero stuff.
yes and no. There are aspects about it I can appreciate more now. Like what I say about this is I don't seek it out.
Mhm.
It's not like a deep burning passion in me to go see superhero comic book things.
Yeah.
So I'm just not like I honestly don't know if I would have
You're
gone
not
to go
chomping at the bit.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have gone to see Black Widow if it wasn't for us covering it on the podcast.
yeah.
But I'm glad that I went because it was a really good movie that I snapped out. I had that moment of like, oh, the movie's still going. I was like, oh, I didn't realize it was still going. Cool. And then I would be back in it.
Is this your first movie back in theaters?
I think so.
Oh.
So much has happened in the last couple months that I don't
Yeah.
know what's happening in life.
Yeah.
But no, like a lot of the things that they did, a lot of the ways they handled things, I thought was really fun and cool. And there are a couple things I nitpick. But we'll talk about that later.
Mm.
That mole, man.
The mole. There's always a mole.
Tom.
For me, honestly, walking into it, I was probably the most nonplussed person in the group, maybe, because it just felt like this weird tacked on thing that's like, oh, for the love of God, why can't Marvel leave me alone? Kind of movie. It felt like, oh, God, you've been promoting this for 3 years. And it's like a movie where like it happens in between a very important moment within the cinematic universe, and it's like, what's the point, right? And it gets you kind of like, because the whole idea of the MCU is like everything builds on everything, and the movie you just watched isn't important because the next movie is more important. It's like, oh my God, who cares, right? So like being kind of fed on this diet made me very just like, I don't care to watch something that I feel like has no legs to grow from.
Mm.
But watching the film in a theater at a local Lemley, it felt like phase 1. It felt, and the thing, I was there for all of the phase 1 stuff, and I was so excited. I was a big nerd in high school, and going with my friends to midnight premieres of watching Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2, and we were dressed in our Dickie jackets and our sunglasses, thinking we were cool.
Hell yeah.
But like we were just fat old nerds, right? So I was like, but like watching this movie, it was like it felt that way again. It felt like this is taking all of what is James Bond, Jason Bourne, Mission Impossible, Fast and Furious in the same movie, and it's like this shouldn't work. But the fact that it's done with the comic book character makes it charming, and I really enjoyed the time there. I think obviously, again, I'm always going to have a critical eye towards certain things in the DNA of what a Marvel film is that I would have wanted more from. But I hope that if they have the ingenuity, the manpower to do it, they do it like a Black Widow trilogy within the same time frame. And I think there is a possibility to do that because it isn't as like Rogue One right up until New Hope, where it's like, oh my God, like there's no other movie can happen after this, because the end of this movie is the beginning of the first Star Wars film.
Yeah.
So it's like it didn't end right where.
Yeah.
So I was like, you could totally fill in so much time, and I think there'd be great development, and this is like microcosm that could live within the Black Widow trilogy in my mind.
Yeah.
But
It was just so nice just to see like a focus on her.
yeah.
No, I mean, anyway.
Yeah. Moving on to our next two segments, we're going to do our brief synopsis and our production. A brief synopsis by
Moi. Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, confronts the darker parts of her ledger when a dangerous conspiracy with ties to her past arises. Pursued by a force that will stop at nothing to bring her down, Natasha must deal with her history as a spy and the broken relationships left in her wake long before she became an Avenger. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know.
We should all have laptops. These tiny screens.
Yeah.
For me.
Someday, Tom.
And the production, which I will do. So this was distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures, who did Pirates of the Caribbean, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Pixar. And then the director is Kate Shortland, who did Somersault, Lore, and Berlin Syndrome. The producer is Kevin Feige, who did Plane.
Yep.
Blade, Trinity, Daredevil, and Elektra.
Nothing else.
Nothing else at all.
Nothing else.
Nothing that you might know.
Good for him.
Writers. The screenplay was done by Eric Pearson, who did Thor, Ragnarok, Godzilla vs. Kong, and Agent Carter. The story is by Jack Schaefer, who did Timer, WandaVision, and The Hustle, and then Ned Benson, who did The Dip.
Wow.
English is good today. The Disappearance of Eleanor Rigby, Him, Her, and Them.
It's 3 movies about the same thing.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
In different perspectives.
Him, Her, and Them.
It's-
So 1, 2, and 3.
It's been in my Netflix queue for years.
Long time. Oh.
Forever.
The cast. It is Scarlett Johansson from Iron Man 2, Lost in Translation, and The Prestige. Florence Pugh from Midsommar, Little Women, and Lady Macbeth. David Harbour from Stranger Things, Black Mass, and Constantine. O.T. Fagbinlay from Max, Handmaid's Tale, and the upcoming The First Lady. William Hurt from The Incredible Hulk, Lost in Space, A History of Violence. Ray Winstone from Beowulf, The Departed, Cold Mountain, and Rachel Weisz from The Mummy and Definitely Maybe.
You mean Rachel Weisz, right?
It's true. I do. The release date was July 9th, 2021. The runtime is 134 minutes. The budget was $200 million plus, and the gross was $158.8 million. Rotten Tomatoes score.
Oh, you know what? I didn't write that down. That's important.
You had one job.
I have
Tom.
one job.
Tom only has one job, and it's to fill in that one line once a week, and he just can't do it. So frustrating.
It is.
Yeah.
It is real frustrating.
Josh is like, that's not true, even a little bit. He has to do like triple digit number of things.
So it is 80% on Rotten Tomatoes with the certified fresh, with 319 reviews, and 92% audience score from 5,000 plus ratings.
There we go. All right.
I do want to do a little special shout out to young Natasha, who is Ever Anderson, who is the daughter of Mia Jovovich.
Oh,
Which, when she came up, I was like, whoa, she's familiar.
is she,
She looks a lot like her
daughter Mia Jovovich and?
I don't know. I just know that part.
Okay. I was like, because I know her and Luc Besson was like married for like a 10 seconds or something like that. But I don't know they could still be married.
All right.
No, she's married to the director for the Resident Evil movies. That's who she's married to. And he did Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably them. Probably those parents. But yeah.
So
now
we're into spoilers.
Spoiler full
And
territory.
I'm gonna start.
Spoiler Fortress in the Sky.
Yeah. I'm gonna start with my favorite part.
Do it.
And it's such a silly scene, but I think it's incredibly important when she's talking about her vest and the pockets.
Oh.
I think it's important because pockets are a symbol of female empowerment.
Oh.
They actually are a symbol of
Tom
female
immediately
empowerment.
laughed.
Well, no, I thought he was like, because pockets are powerful, and I was like, okay, and then I was like,
Pockets, hashtag pockets are powerful. We're starting it, everybody. No, it's just, I think it's really cool, especially for the character who, like she said, she hasn't had control of her whole life. And
Caitlin,
it's just very sweet.
What's your thoughts on pockets?
Fuck. I wish pockets were on everything. Do you know how
So do you-
obnoxious it is to not have pockets? You literally have to carry a purse.
Do you like?
I
my-
don't-
Do you,
I
so,
hate
So do you
purses.
like my pants? That's the 12 million pockets I got.
Yeah, I used to wear
You can
cargo
put
pants.
so many cool things in there.
I used to wear cargo pants as a kid, and I got made fun of for wearing boys' clothes. And I was like chastised for years. And I was like, why wouldn't you want a ton of pockets?
Yeah.
They're so helpful. And then as I grew up and wanted to wear other jeans, they sew the pockets shut
Yeah.
on pants for women.
For women.
You literally, they put the outline there, but they don't want the little inside little pocket thing to be showing. So you're not allowed to have them. Dresses, even though there's
You
plenty
can look
of
at them.
space to hide a pocket in the folds, no pockets. So you have to buy a purse, you have to be holding a bag, or you have to hand it, like the ideology was you hand it to your significant other male that has the pockets. It's
So-
so
So
frustrating.
Yelena and Sonya Blade, pioneers in the pocket realm for women.
Pocket industry.
So anytime you see a woman get upset, or no, not upset, but excited about something having pockets, that shit is real.
Oh, it's so real. And things have come a
Oh, you know,
long way in the last decade,
this-
but
this
oh
is
my
true.
God.
There's so many women now that like I had never understood the plight because they're like, I love this cardigan, it has pockets. I love this dress, it has pockets. I'm like,
There's
What's
a
the
whole
issue?
like
well,
actually.
to me, I just never understood. I'm like, I don't wear those things, so I'm like, I don't know where the.
You don't have to deal with it, so you don't
Mhm.
know.
Yeah. So I was like,
I mean,
I never
I-
saw that.
I knew about this concept before, but I didn't know like the history of it. And when you look it up, it's really fascinating.
Oh
But
my God.
pockets are
There's like
It's a
some
thing.
real history going
there's
on there.
like pockets.
Yeah.
It's
So
like
anyway, this
pockets.
this cute little scene with Yelena and Natasha is really, it's really sweet, and I think it is. I almost held your hand. It's really powerful.
Touching my hand is not holding my hand.
No, it was kind of like a
That's what that is.
Anyway.
he's fondling my hand for all those audio
Anyway,
listeners.
so yeah, it was just really sweet to see her just like she was at. The thing about Yelena through this movie is she was kind of like there were very childlike moments where it was
Mhm.
kind of like she didn't really get to be a child, so it's kind of really cool to see these childlike moments that she has.
I kind of felt like she was very much like the female forward like Marvel voice. Like there's been a lot of controversy talking about this film and how Scarlett Johansson like kind of came in Iron Man 2 as this like cameo character, objectified, sexualized, and then Yelena kind of offers like everything about her is the same as Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff character, but more of like a well, we could just be characters, and so it's like we don't have to do the poses. We can have these vests and all this stuff. Like,
Well-
I could wear the baggy pants. I don't have to have the slim suit on the
I
entire
mean,
time.
when I say childlike, I mean she'd be excited about things like pockets, or she'd be like, "This is a cool way to die."
it's-
Like it's yeah, it relieves us of the pressure of importance of like this has to be so intense.
Well, it
and-
has the little bit of the fish out of water of someone who has been chemically mind controlled for a majority of their life, and
Yeah.
being like, oh, I can actually experience things for the first time. Like
Yeah.
I guarantee that there's going to be little comedy moments with her character in the future stories where she's just like, oh, I get to choose what I paper or plastic bag. These kind of things of like choice. Like she's now seeing what choice truly is.
Yeah.
Caitlin?
I like the movie.
Okay.
Hell yeah. You know that part where it just goes from minute 1 to minute 2:15?
Yeah, that was
part.
really good.
It's more like minute 134.
I really liked that they started with the, oh, we're a happy family. Look at how happy we are. And he's like, a big adventure time. And you're like, yeah, okay, big adventure. These girls probably have, oh my God, they're shooting.
I
Okay.
was watching that and I was like, this is the Americans. This is the show The Americans. Because that's kind of the plot point of like there is this family who's deep undercover as American family.
Mhm.
But watching that, I mean, I will say to that point, just adding on to it, like I really enjoyed the kind of bookending of that sense where like the film starts in this very intimate, small stakes, like Ohio story, and then like I don't know, I just kind of miss that very Americana kind of like origin of characters, and then it ends in a way where it's like we're going back to a little bit of like these are the intimate moments of just people, because at the end of the day, like it is just about movies are just about people talking,
Mhm.
and so like you're seeing how it, like this story is going to be about these two girls and their sisters, and so like I like that.
I think this movie for me encapsulated kind of in my mind what comics are and do, especially from the before times, um, where this was very much about freedom of choice, getting to choose how you live your life, what you do with your life. But it also had that like, well, you can only do that in America, like fighting for your freedom, that kind of thing, which was a big part of, comics from before, Captain America and all that kind of stuff. So it had the sort of
Don't tell
like,
Dean King that.
well,
He don't like that no more.
well, that's,
Not my Superman.
but it had the sort of like over the top thing of like the thing the world has too much of, little girls. And I was like, "Wee." But also like that's just it was when he said it, I was like, "Ooh, that's the funniest thing to say."
Well, technically, on like a statistical level, there is like 52% women
Right.
to
So
whatever
it's not that it's incorrect, and it's that there's like factual information there,
Yeah.
but it's being framed in
In-
this such an over the
This world
top
resource.
this world resource. There's so many little girls. Wah.
All right,
Like,
creeper.
I know, right? But then you have like, the fucking Red Room is a sky fortress, and there are all these warrior, like kind of Amazonian equivalent for the world, just hiding in the space
clouds.
clouds.
Well, more like getting, activated and then like being dispatched out to kill people.
Right. So it's like there are all these over the top things that are happening, but it's still got those sort of it feels this doesn't feel accurate to say, but like old-timey undercurrents of like
It feels like a political thriller, like a little
Yeah.
Cold War-y, like
yeah,
I mean, that's
yeah.
like Red Sparrow and like Jason Bourne's a little bit of like the echoes of the Cold War stuff. Again, the Manchurian Candidate stuff, where it's like you activate these cells and they have no will of their own, but they just act upon like these regional political powers.
Right. So to me this almost felt like one of the more comic book movies I've seen, which not to say that the ones previous haven't had that, but this one felt like the perfect cross section of how I have comic books in my head
Of,
versus
like reality
where
and
they are
hyperbole.
now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I liked where it ended up. I'm sad that it came out later, but I like how it came out.
I really like. I just kind of enjoyed, it's weird to think that it kind of has taken us to this point that under Disney's tutelage and not under Paramount, where Iron Man 1 and the Incredible Hulk and all that stuff were made under Paramount first, that this is more violent than those ones. And I
Mm.
actually really enjoyed that. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying it in the the sadistical or even misogynistic way where it's like these soldiers the one who's forced to kill herself, and I was like, oh my god. And like it's kind of really cool because you see like I like that because it has like true consequence feeling. It
Mhm.
feels like these are true stakes of just like when you think about like a giant fortress in the sky, it's like that doesn't mean anything.
Mhm.
But then when you actually get to see Yelena talk about how like I killed my liberator, I killed the woman who freed me. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, like there's this
And
really.
that was graphic.
I thought, but like that was very.
In like a great. That what a strange thing to say. It was graphic in a great way.
Yeah, it felt to me. It kind of felt like a little Mission Impossible Fallout, a little Peacemaker. Like we're taking these Moroccan, Budapest areas, and like cool. You have old timey, architecture around, but then like that's where all of the spies, like converge and do their business, and like the running between things. Like it felt more tangible. It felt more like these are about people. This isn't about like an alien or anything like that. Nothing wrong with that, but it gave it a little bit of room to like, you could just get hit by a car and you can get, you die. Like I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
I like the way that somebody explained. I saw that they posted about Black Widow. They were like, who knew that in 2021 we get 2 Bond movies?
No, yeah, and I was thinking about it. I was like, this is Mission Impossible. This is Bond. Like the whole third act, and this is a little bit of a Kwame thing, but it's like the whole third act is so James Bond third act of like, let's just go crazy.
Yeah.
And because at first it's like a little like the family aspect was like, okay, this is Fast and Furious. And then like the, world's faring, escaping to all different places. I'm like, okay, this is like a little, Mission Impossible-y still. And, and then they start going into like, oh, okay, the government has this and we did this. And then we had assassinated. The only way I could do it was like, okay, this is Jason Bourne. Like every single step was like, this is like every single one of those tropes, right? But all the things I mentioned were all like, dude, right? And this is like cool that, like we get to have something like we don't talk about Atomic Blonde. We don't talk about, I think the one that's coming up is, I forget the names, like something.
Gunpowder Milkshake?
Gunpowder Milkshake. I was like, something sugar cake.
No,
but like
cake.
now, but I think, and that's a cool thing. I hope, again, that's why like I really want to see a sequel to this within this time frame, because I would like to see, Yelena and Natasha have this kind of like, cool, we get to be spies and fight the
because you could fill in the space,
Yeah.
even more space of,
Also,
Anyway.
what are all those other widows doing?
They're probably chilling.
I don't think they're gonna live chill lives.
I think there's gonna be one of them that has like cargo pants and a vest, and then like athletic pockets
in a backpack.
and a pocket, and then like
He's caught up on the
and then
on
they're
the pockets
gonna
thing.
go and stop all of the.
well, to me it's Marvel, so they're gonna make a joke. They're gonna make a joke out of it where someone went overboard with, it's like Carl Urban and Thor Ragnarok. It's like this is called Des and Troy. He's talking about his guns because he has like a shake wick and all this stuff. Like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Tom, what's your favorite parts?
Favorite parts? I really liked My Mr. American Pie.
Okay.
That was a song that my dad would always play whenever we were like road tripping.
Aw.
And so when I heard that, I was like, that's about the right time, 1995. And like I remember hearing that song and it would kind of like soothe me, but then seeing how it came back. And that's the thing where like you could take it one way or the other, where for me there's a little bit of a half-life of like, I hate the fact that I can count on everything coming back, but also there's some niceties of like, where was this going to come up?
Yeah.
Like, so where's this song coming
You're
up?
expecting it, and then you're kind of relieved isn't the right, where you're like, oh, that was a sweet way to do
But
that.
Yeah.
David Harbour's Red Guardian is 100% Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
He
god.
is a Homer Simpson for sure. But like, because there's a moment in Simpsons where that happens, where Lisa starts playing the sax and she like meets this new teacher, and he really like kind of imprints on her, like, because she's like, this is like my nude father. And then Homer's like, hey, he's not cool and blah blah. It's like, I don't, and like they go to the same museum and you see how one man responds versus how Homer responds, and like Homer's like, I'm not the smartest guy, like, but I am your father and I'm going to do everything I can to make you feel better. And what he does is do dumb stuff. He acts like a monkey and stuff like that. I'm like, and then so when he just like walks away, when Elena's like, get out, and then he just stops and starts singing the song. It's like, yeah. And it, gets interrupted with, an action scene, which is, I think, a fine thing. But, I think I liked that kind of moment of like seeing this family thing. And for most part, I was very much like on the side of Natasha, where I was just like, yeah, they were only together for 3 years. How is this a family? This is summer camp. This was not even high school.
And you also drugged me and dragged me off into nowhere with the second it was done.
So
Like,
there's that.
And so I was like, so to me, that will always be like a little, disconnect where I'm like, yeah, it's only 3 years. I was like, she's been with the Avengers for way longer. But
I love the response to that from Yelena was the best years of my life. You
Yeah.
were a
Were
lie
fake.
and you never told me.
Yeah.
But then she's like, and those soldiers that you control, I'm
Yeah.
one of them. And I'm like, and it's great. And I think Caitlin, you probably noticed this because I remember we were talking about something. We were talking about on a long ago podcast episode, and we were talking about how like you're like it looks like someone who is very in tune with being sad. And you were saying because their face looks like they know and have experienced sadness in such a long time. And I felt that a lot from Florence Pugh's character,
Mm-mm.
just because like, and also because I've watched Midsommar, and like most of the time she's frowning and crying, and that movie is intense. If you haven't watched it, do. And it's a fairy tale technically. But yeah,
My reference was Little Women.
but like,
She's good.
There's a lot of moments where like she and I guess I kind of relate to it being the younger sibling of like
Mhm.
I'm the one that kind of gets the butt end of all the shit where everyone else is having to deal with stuff like when like Natasha's like everyone shut up, it's like I didn't even say anything. It's like that's not fair. I'm like yeah, that's kind of how it is to be like the younger
sibling.
sibling.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I really just enjoyed that family dynamic stuff. And like, yeah, seeing how that was all going to play together. Like, it was enjoyable to see David Harbour throw a truck, and then like do all this super strength stuff, and like this fun stuff with the arm wrestling, and then the whole
Oh.
escape thing, and so there's those kind of things that I'm like, I like this.
Yeah.
I like it.
I mean, just to add on to, because you brought up the prison break, because it is one of my favorite scenes. Like, I love the cool way to die kind of thing, and then I also, and reading about kind of the background of this line, but when when Alexei goes, what is it that time of the month for you, and they all like during the table read, they all kind of groaned, and they were like, if we're gonna keep that in,
We're gonna do this.
that she gets to pop off on him, and
Yeah.
it's like,
Oh, it's so good.
and it was. The other thing that I loved about this, and
Apparently, Florence Pugh had to like fight a little bit for it.
Really?
I didn't hear that part, but that's
Kind of not surprised.
But
Isn't
what
that
was
real
interesting
graphic?
about it is that they were like, it just shows that you can make humor about trauma. Like that's one of the things that they were like, this is important because it's okay to make humor about trauma. That's one of the things that they were.
our host
the
that does
actors
that
were
all
talking
the
about.
time.
Yeah.
May I also just say that when it's like, well, it got really graphic, it's like, all right. So everyone, no. When people are, when guys are like, oh, it's your time of the month, and if ladies get graphic in return, it's like, then don't make light of it.
I mean, graphic.
Don't. I know
For
they're
Disney.
talking. I'm aware. I'm just saying in general because I've been around plenty of dudes who are like, oh, this is your time of the month, and it's like, yes. And then you explain in detail what's happening. I won't do that right now, but you explain in detail what's actually happening and what you're going through, and then they're like, ugh, gross, why would you say that? It's like, don't make fun of it then.
So my experience with it has always been, and this is why I like it's because it's Disney. When I was having a bad day, a girl told me, like, I'm on my time of the month and I don't even act like an asshole, so you can fucking shut up.
Right.
And so like that was the one I was like, all right, true. And that's why for me, I never do that joke, but I understand why Dave. It's more of like when they add that line in there, and the way that now that Elena kind of has it in the scene, it kind of sets up that scene, that joke of like, let's talk about it then. And it's like all of it takes it out, and then like I like how it comes.
Yeah, because it's always a joke that's said in passing, and everybody like I've never made that joke because it's misogynistic, but it's like they always make a joke about it. It's like a quick passing thing, and everybody kind of groans. And this is like, okay, no, you're gonna bring it up. We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
Cool. Nope,
Not
they just
about
got in there and they just cut it up, and
it's true. Like, and yes, of course, I'm triggered because like it can be absolutely debilitating for some people, and other people are like, oh yeah, it happened.
Well, to me, it's like I would want more of that stuff, and I feel like I understand like the male audience who's like, we don't want to hear that stuff, and it's like and like I hear Disney being like, well, we don't want to piss off, the middle America,
Mm-mm.
and it's like, how many people are you beholden to from just telling the story? Because like they infer that in Age of Ultron, where like Natasha tells Bruce that like she can't have children, and then like they actually go into it, and I'm like, yeah, talk about it, and like maybe you could talk about how the actual war crimes that actually happen, that actually happens to women
like
now.
what actually happened to these women to make them the ultimate fighting machine.
Yeah. And it was done. I mean, it was done in a very like explanatory, clinical way Even if it was graphic for Disney, like they did it in a way that was like, no, this is what happened.
And I mean, that's why I say like it's graphic for Disney, but it also does it in the Disney way where it's like, is it taking it as seriously as it can, or is it using it in a way to kind of combat another thing? And it's to combat the, toxic masculinity thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I'm not talking about like the big macho dudes like, Red Guardian wants to be. It's like, it's the Ben Shapiro motherfuckers. So, anyway, other favorite parts?
I can't remember his name right now because I'm a terrible person, but her friend that like helps her get planes and stuff.
Fat Bentley.
Oh yeah.
OT Fat Bentley.
Yes. Oh, just
the way
great.
he describes it is there's a flirtatious cue in the movie.
Yes. Yeah.
Every
I
man
love
wants to hear.
That was very cute. Well, even all of their interaction, like the I don't pay you to worry. You can tell how much she regrets saying that the minute it leaves her mouth. And but regrets it, but also was like, no, I need to be like this.
I for sure was watching. I was like, I swear to God, nothing better happened between these two.
Oh no,
right?
no.
And like nothing did happen, but it was kind of like, of course you have to have this male character who's like this handler to kind of it does twofold, right? It expands the world, it gives someone that she could play with, but also it allows us to have the proper expectation of like, this isn't a romance story. Like it reminds us that like, we're not going to play into these things that female stories always have to have, where it's like there's always going to be some emotional breakdown moment. It's going to be sad, and then they're going to have to get with some dude who's always been supportive, and it's like it's not going to happen in this movie. And that's the thing where it's like I could kind of see exactly where the inner workings are going to happen in this film, but like I enjoyed him in terms of like at the very end where he brings in the Quinjet.
Okay, Disney, you're listening, I know. So when he brings in the Quinjet and she's like walking away and the music starts playing, they have an interaction that is overshadowed by music. And I was literally looking at his jaw because I was like, this is a long time for her to be walking in one direction and him not say anything, just from how...
Oh, so it was like an over the shoulder and you see his jaw move?
Yeah, you could see his jaw move, and then she turns back and you can see her go... And then she walks forward. What did he say?
It's probably the line.
I want to.
It's probably the same line. It's probably see what I can do when you give me enough time. It's probably that exact line. They just use it in a different take.
Is it?
It's probably that. It's probably.
We're seeing an accidental.
It probably is, but I want to know so bad.
But we're gonna read into it. We're gonna create stories.
We're gonna read in
fan fiction.
We're gonna just Disney. Let me know.
He probably said, "I slept with Clint Barton." That's what he said.
That tracks.
And she's like,
yeah.
That's it.
She, under her breath, she went, that tracks.
He probably said, I never knew Clint Barton was such a stud. Why didn't you ever tell me? And she's like, I never knew.
That's not, the flaps wouldn't match
and
that.
Then she's like, I wouldn't know. And then it would be like, oh, cool comic book subversion because they've dated in the comic books.
Yeah.
But I would like it in the MCU that they never dated. In my mind. And in the comics, everyone's dated. Captain America's been with Black Widow.
Everybody.
Iron Man's been with Black Widow.
Swamp Thing's been... No, I'm just kidding.
We're missing the point. I want to know.
Fan fiction, everybody.
It was the same
in.
line.
We have a P.O. box.
It probably
Send it
was.
in.
I promise.
One last favorite part for me is... I just felt it. Severing the nerve.
Ooh, the
and
nose
just, like,
crinkle.
The nose crinkle and like her going into the scene knowing what she's going to have to do. And I just love that she belittles him. Thought you'd be strong enough. And
I liked because, again, I think as a man, please check me, Caitlin. I think it's really hard because we've been living in a film, like in a time where film has been really just created and made out of men's viewpoint. It's the male gaze, but like how to tell a women's story in the same, like you're using the same genre, but you're having to tell like how does a woman protagonist get through this without being like, well, let's not like denounce and make less of because she's a woman character. But it's like you also have to use a unique difference of like how this character gets out of a situation. Like at the very end, it was like a very James Bondy thing.
Uh-huh.
And the James Bondy thing was like he would.
Thank you for cooperating.
He would use some suave thing, and then the bad person would have been like some hot Bond girl that he would just seduce out of this, right?
Uh-huh.
And so they have to not use the exact opposite because the female gaze is not the opposite of the male gaze. It is different, right? And I think there hasn't been enough female filmmakers and storytellers to kind of have like a big stance of like, this is what the female gaze. I think we're continually still learning more about it, and us dudes like just have to kind of watch it and see. But how she gets out of this situation that she can't win through physical violence isn't through sexual wiles. Like that's a James Bond thing. You know, like I feel like that's a cool.
So what is your are you just saying that and saying for me to like tell you if something is incorrect, or
Well, if you see that, or if I'm on the right track of that, because I feel like to me that's kind of how I view it, where it's like you can't have it where she would use her sexual wiles to like beat him, but also she can't physically just beat him out of it. Like we can't have Batman beating at the Joker. It's like, where is it? You know, like you can't, like that would be almost like, well, you just did like, that's like what a man character normally would do. So you'd have to use ingenuity, do something else. Like she has the physical prowess, but the opportunity I think you have with like women characters is to use like the things that they're actually better than men at.
I think with the way that women have been portrayed in things for so long, to have them to have Natasha just brute force her way through it is just like, oh, you would have gotten the criticism of like, oh, you're just doing the same thing you do with every other character. And if she had gone the sexy wiles way, it would have been like, oh, that's all women are good for, is being sexy and wily. So I feel like this was kind of the only option.
It's a little bit of both, because it's using her ingenuity too. Because
Right.
you hear that like when her and Rachel Weisz's character are like, Melina is like, I'll just hold my breath. It's kind of brute forcing it through there, but then like that doesn't work. And so being smart and using that cunning, using
Oh yeah.
a way to instigate. So I thought that was like really pretty
Oh
smart.
no. I loved that scene very much. And I also hated that scene very much.
Because the bone crack sound?
No, not that. It wasn't that. It was before it's revealed that she already knows what to do. And when he like is
Try the
getting
knife.
really close to her face, and after he reveals that it's like a pheromone thing, you know why he's so close to her. He's making sure that his pheromones get into her system. But it's just like, if you've ever been in a scenario like that where someone is
Squaring up on you.
much bigger than you, older than you, scarier than you, and they get up in your business and you can't fight them, it's horrifying. And to know that she was actually in complete control of that situation and was just playing her part out really well was like, fuck yeah, fuck you, you piece of shit.
Make him think that he's powerful, but he's not.
Yeah. So like, it's like really awful to see, but at the same time, it's really great to see. And the most heartbreaking thing for me was Taskmaster, Antonia, when she's like on the ground after the Red Room's destroyed and everything. And like the first thing she says of her own free will is he gone?
Yeah.
Like,
it's not the comic book Taskmaster. So if
I know
all you
I've
nerds
heard a lot of people are like,
all you nerds
they
who
did
are
Taskmaster dirty, but
well, to me, the only quote unquote like if you're gonna have a gripe, it's like it's not the comic book one, but also go read the comic books. I felt it was very like, oh, like I don't know. I saw it 10,000 miles away. The moment I heard like, is that what you did to her daughter? I'm like, that's Taskmaster.
oh,
That's Taskmaster. Like immediately, I was like, that's.
I didn't know
Taskmaster.
how much time had passed, so I was confused that I was like, there's no way that's Taskmaster.
Because Scarlett Johansson doesn't age.
Oh, that's right. See,
Yeah.
I forgot.
Because in
Deal
the
with the
same
devil.
movie. Anyways,
Yeah.
favorite characters?
Yeah.
We'll do 2.
Oh, yeah.
And only one of them could be a Black Widow,
Okay.
Okay.
That's good.
and
That's
then
good.
one of them is not a Black Widow.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll
go.
Go ahead.
Yelena
Mhm.
is my favorite.
Mhm.
I just love watching her experience the world and kicking ass. And I like Alexei.
Red Guardian.
Yeah, Red Guardian. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got to say about that.
Let's do a second Black Widow, since it's a Black Widow. Everyone's a Black Widow, but the dudes.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So
There's a lot
2
of
Black Widows and then someone who's not, which means it's a dude.
Then of course Natasha.
Kaylin? Two widows, non-widow.
Yelena, because she was a lot of fun, and Melina, because she literally toppled the Red Room. I mean,
But I love how nonchalantly
With
she
the
just goes,
pig.
and we're going into a controlled dive. Like she says it so
calm.
calm.
Change of plans.
Change your
Change
plans.
plans.
We're going into a controlled crash.
She says everything so like,
Oh yeah,
and then this is gonna happen.
and it's fine. Just stay calm and keep going. Yeah, Melina was so fucking like she had been prepping for that day. She
Also,
was ready
when she
so long
when
ago.
the pigs start reacting, and she's like, "I gotta go see what's going." Brings out the giant 50 cal and just like,
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, "That gun is so
And
huge."
then she's like, "Stop! The pig is dying." She's like, "He had 11
11
more
sec.
seconds left, didn't he?"
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. He had 11 more seconds.
But
It's
also,
cool.
I do love how she was just like she was so excited to see Red Guardian back in his suit
Oh yeah.
because he was like a country symbol for a while, and so it's like seeing like, oh wow.
I had sex with that. I regret doing that on camera. But then also O.T. Fagbenley's character.
Mhm.
Just that it's just so like I don't know what other business he does, but I want to know, but also maybe I don't, but I do. He seems cool.
You
He's
should
a
wa-
mercenary.
You should
Yeah.
watch Luke Cage because there
I've watched oh wait, no,
that-
that was other one, lady that's friends.
Jessica Jones.
Yes.
This
This is Jessica Jones.
more like
Lots of punchy.
more like wife and then mother of his child.
Oh, okay, great.
But the where that character kind of leads in is like very much like you could do a lot of the the arms dealing, the black market stuff, and I'm like, these for sure like peddling hammer tech somewhere
Oh yeah.
or stolen Stark tech.
I know the last one.
My copy and paste Josh.
Huh.
Natasha first, then Yelena, and then Alexei. I just feel like I resonated more with Natasha's character of like, yeah, none of you guys matter. Like it was a 3-year assignment. And she's like, I'm gonna go do this by myself. All you guys suck. I'm like, yes. Like enough with this emotion. I'm like, just go do
Which
the
is
job.
so funny because it was actually Melina that's like, you will fail,
Mhm.
so why don't you group up?
Well, then also there's a really cool moment where she's like, I only have 2 earpieces. Like, give it to the It was like such a quick decision.
Yelena.
Yeah, I was like, just okay, cool. And I was like, easy. And like, there was a little bit of like, I really enjoyed like, even though, and that's the thing where I find, to me, what I really like out of maybe better writing is of female characters. Like, just because you want to show like how badass women are doesn't mean you deprive them of development.
Hmm.
And like, Natasha's like badass all by herself, and
Mhm.
like, of course she can't beat Taskmaster because like there's a little bit of a Terminator aspect going on in it, but like you need to have a physical adversary. She can't just like Superman her way through everything, but like it doesn't deprive her of the fact that like she needs to learn how to depend on this family.
Mm.
And like there's the story, like someone who's super capable, all badass by themselves, but also still learns something new. And after that is changed because
Yeah.
now they have 2 families, the Avengers and her family. So
Yeah.
I was like, there's that. Unlike Star Wars. Anyway, so those are my 3. Now we go to qualms.
Qualmy qualms, and I'm not starting because I started the last 2
Caitlin?
segments.
Damn.
Damn. Foiled again.
Someone who said I liked the movie twice.
Yeah. As much as I enjoyed it, I didn't really like Yelena's self-aware comments.
Mm.
Like, this is a good way to die.
No. The pose you do is stupid.
Oh.
Like all of that stuff. It felt like it was doing a little bit of the Deadpool-esque
Like
stuff.
breaking the fourth wall without establishing
Yeah, that was like a thing.
for this particular.
And I know
yeah.
that it didn't like it's not necessarily because in world they have footage of, things happening from security cams and stuff. So she would have seen and
Except
known
we
about
never
these
see
things,
it.
but we don't never see it. So it wasn't like, they didn't give some kind of leeway that like
Yeah.
this is
Well,
a thing in their world that they knew of.
My-
Because how does she know that she did the hair flippy posy thing?
minor spoilers for WandaVision, and they do that same thing with Wanda. They're like, "Oh, she could have beat Thanos all by herself." Like, who fucking was there
Yeah.
recording the footage of the fight?
Yeah.
Or also, who was like, "Oh yeah," and then Wanda, "Oh, she totally took down." It was like, who
Yeah.
told Randall Park this?
Yeah.
Who told Jimmy Woo this?
So things like that, I just wasn't a super fan of. Um,
See, Josh, that's how you make us feel. Marvelous episode. So go ahead.
I can't remember my second one, so I'm gonna let you go.
This is a tired one. This is a
Okay.
tired qualm. It's the Jeremy Johns qualm that a lot of people were circulating, and it happens at the end credit scene. It's when
Oh.
Yelena's mourning for Natasha's, over her tombstone, and then we get Valentina over there blowing her nose, and it's just like
What is that called? What is that concept called again?
bathos.
Bathos.
It's when you're like, and to me, I think there's a different way they could have done it. You could
Yeah.
have still had all that shit there to set up the next, story and all that stuff, but you didn't have to blow your nose when a sister is mourning her sister's death
The other thing was when
in such proximity.
yeah, the other scene that was like that was when Alexei thinks that he's talking to Natasha and he's actually
Oh.
saying some very sweet things, but it turns into a joke, and you're like, cool,
Yeah.
cool.
That one to me was just the worst one because it's like, oh,
Yeah.
God, like we know that the end credit scenes are always gonna be setup stuff, but like sometimes it's an ant playing drums and it means nothing,
Yeah,
or sometimes like sometimes it could just be left alone. Where it's like,
and sometimes it's a promo.
yeah, and it's like you could have just had this be it, and it's like this sad moment, but it's like years later, and then the dog goes off, and then the dog goes to a car, and then Julie Louis-Dreyfus has fucking kibbles, and it's like next assignment.
What if
It's like
she
done.
she could have even had a phone that was like
Text message.
a text
Next
message
assignment.
that was like, no, like he killed her, and then a picture of him. Like that would have been like, wait, what? Oh God, oh no, he did. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like it's like you could still set it up, but like it just to me it's just like, oh, for the love of God,
yeah,
like let the actors act.
yeah.
I
know.
And then my second one is I did not love This Is a Good Way to Die.
Oh,
okay.
I didn't.
Well,
To me, that's just like you just talked about how you love getting a vest and all these things about life, and it's like this is a good way to die. It's like
she's also a warrior.
I get that. Like there's like this sense of the warrior's death, but like they don't talk about it other than just the dying part.
Mhm.
Other than like I want to go fighting in a blaze of glory. When it's like
well, she
it-
also would have had a chance to kill her abuser. So
yeah,
that's a pretty like. I feel like being the
it's
probably-
that part's fine. I just don't like the every single time like this is a good way to die. This is a bad way to die. This is a bad way to die.
I
I'm
see,
like,
I see, I see.
oh my
The-
God,
the
how about-
pattern of that.
yeah, it's like how much you just get out of it.
How
I
about you
see.
just die?
How would you just survive it? And it's like that'd be okay. And it's like also, like I have to assume that these missions obviously higher in stakes of what other Black Widows have done, but it's like you don't say that at every mission. It's a good way to die. Like I don't think about that every time I'm on the road. It's like I could die right now.
Yeah.
But that was just like
Yeah.
a little bit for me.
Teach
I
their
have
own.
a little tiny ones, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, I have tiny ones, but the major CGI sequence for everything falling apart and falling.
Oh,
Just there were moments that literally looked like I
When
was
that-
watching a cutscene of a video game, and I was
Oh.
like,
When that
Oof.
tank came in and just Tokyo drifted right there, I was like, yo, I was like Fast and the Furious. A lot of people like shat on it, and especially around the third act, but I was like, this is cartoons. I'm cool with that.
yeah, there was a scene where there was I was gonna say there was a Black Widow. Scarlett is falling through the sky, and she's doing this really cool, Black Widow move, but it's just like that's CGI. That is
Yeah.
like so
yeah.
bad.
Oh,
I think
Um,
Caitlin found your second one.
yeah, I did.
What's-
That's
Go for it.
well, mine was the kind of music over top of the explaining the Red Room kind of stuff. The like intercuts of like ballet, explosion, baby
Oh, the-
and
the
pig.
opening sequence?
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
title
Oh,
sequence.
interesting.
Yeah, I hated the title sequence.
Why?
I don't know why. I
Exposition.
don't. Yeah, a little bit of that, but I feel like it was. How do I phrase this?
To me, and that was very like Michael Mann
Well, it's interesting.
movie, like the redacted ops kind of like that's in that genre. And
I-
if you don't like it, then
I think it's because I didn't even have time to pay attention to the names.
Mhm.
So it didn't even feel like a title sequence. It felt like I'm just getting like blasted with images, and I can't even. I wasn't even aware that that was a title sequence that was happening. I was like, what the fuck's going on? because I couldn't see anything because I
mean,
was
I
trying to
can-
take in all the different imagery immediately, and the names were like insignificant, which I know the title sequence is supposed to,
Well,
you know.
And I mean, there's some cool like editorials that some people have done where it's like they take redacted files and then they'll do all the black out stuff and then they'll leave like starring Scarlett Johansson. It's like
right,
that, like so
something like that
there's
would
cool
draw
stuff
more
that can do
to
that.
it, but
This
it
version
was
wasn't
not at all.
not for you.
Yeah, no,
Nah.
I experienced the same thing. Like I watched it multiple times, and it was like, it was like on the second time I had to like really pay attention to like the actual events that were happening because there's a lot happening in the. This isn't my second qualm. I'm just,
Yeah,
but there's a lot that are happening in those like giving you information, this slideshow of information, but there's also credits going on.
Yes.
So it's like, wait a minute, you're
Yeah.
giving me exposition of what I'm about to watch. Hinted exposition of what I'm about to watch, but you're also giving me the cast.
Yeah, it was there was just too much information happening at once, and I just couldn't process all of it.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
So Josh,
Anyway.
what's your second?
My
Yeah.
second qualm,
Huh.
I feel a little shitty for saying this, but I almost feel like this movie doesn't matter.
Oh, so it was what I walked into.
Yeah.
Mm.
It unfortunately a lot has happened over in the past like year and a half.
But if they do what I want them to do and do 2 more movies, wouldn't it be cool?
Yeah, it would be really cool.
And then it'd
but
be like, cool, I could be invested
But
in
to
it.
I
finish
feel like
your
you
qualm,
I feel like you could summarize with this movie in coming this fall, Hawkeye. That's it.
I mean,
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
now-
I mean, it's.
now see, that is my biggest gripe with the DNA of the MCU, is that nothing matters.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing matters. Because before you find out about Avengers Infinity War, you're like, okay, cool, Spider-Man Far From Home is after that. You're like, well, he's going to survive. You're like, and that's kind of like the weird...
And I felt like at the ending sequence, even on top of it, is just like, wait, I'm sorry. We just watched this movie where she gains her independence, and now she's fighting for somebody else, and she doesn't get to decide her missions.
you guys
Oh,
are
wait a minute.
literally talking about why I have issues with comic books.
Because it feels like nothing matters.
Yeah,
I would say
because they're always going to come out fine. There's always going to be another iteration.
there is
It
that
doesn't matter.
1 hour
There's
procedural drama
AUs.
feel.
Yeah.
I feel like with comic books, it's a little different because you don't know what happens at the end of the run. Like, spoilers for everyone listening to reading Batman comics. At the end of Tom King's run, Alfred's dead, and he's been dead. He's been dead for like 3 years,
Uh-huh.
and so it's like, oh shit, they haven't brought him back, and it's like, okay, my bad. I didn't know
Well,
they were gonna do that.
I mean, on your so on that, to just kind of talk about it as a medium, from a comic book standpoint, as a medium, we as readers know that might happen.
Okay.
That's just kind of like it's part of the medium. When you
Right.
have just Batman's sake, Batman's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
He'd be 107 years old.
Pretty old at this point.
And there's so many stories. Like
In the 40s, he's in his 30s.
yeah, so it's
Well-
like it's kind of one of those things. It's kind of like the Simpsons thing. How old is Bart Simpson?
Or
Yeah.
Maggie.
Yeah,
But
or-
also, but then there's things like Jason Aaron's run of Thor. Was it Jason Aaron's? I forget. But like, it's what gave him. He like lost his arm, lost an eye. Like he like, and it's like it continued for years. It's like he's got a golden arm.
But with movies as a medium, it's not as, I don't think it's as loose
Yeah,
in a sense of where
It's not as
you can get away with those kinds of things. Like
It's not as
people lose
forgiving.
their shit when something goes against canon. You know
Right.
what I mean? Where it's like, wait, I'm sorry, you just reversed something that happened in movie 3.
Well, my thing is kind of like compare the MCU to like the Dark Knight trilogy, right? Where at the end, like Harvey Dent is dead. Like Rachel is dead. They ain't coming back, and it's like, how is Batman gonna get out of this? And it's like, okay, he is old now. Like he is not like okay. It's like this kind of feels like in this world of like everyone's a rubber human being. They're never gonna die, and like if someone dies, they die, and we may never see him back or something like that. But it just feels like
Show me the body.
we're always moving on to the next thing, and we can't even really sit with this first
Yeah.
one.
Mhm.
And like in between every of the Nolan films was 4 years.
Yeah.
So it felt like, oh my God, we're waiting for this. And it's like, Hawkeye's coming out this year. It's like, Jesus.
I'm sorry if I didn't mean if I came off as mansplaining. I really didn't.
No.
Okay, cool.
It's more of like it's because when I hear you say this, I'm like, yes, I understand and agree.
But still.
But also, they're probably going to make more iterations of these same movies later, so it still won't matter.
I mean, I think you have the more logical mindset about it because a lot of people, to them, this is like, oh my God, they've never done this before. It's like, but this is the movie industry. Like,
Yeah.
people's got to make money. Like,
They've made superhero things in the past, multiple iterations with different people. Like, I mean, Batman. We've
Yeah.
had how many iterations of Batman?
and we're gonna get more. But with this, it's like they've never had to reboot so far with
Right.
MCU, right? And so, like, when that day comes, when MCU is not successful enough, they're going to.
Oh yeah.
And it's like it's because it's owned by Disney. And it's
Mhm.
like, look at Lion King reboot, or look at the the Cruella movie. Look, like they're going to have to do something to reinvigorate life into it some way or another, unless they want to just continue all these stories, and then all these characters will actually matter because they'll be the first generation of stuff. But
right.
we just at this point can't tell what they're going to do. But it's logic based. It's going to be about money.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
Yeah.
that
That was the Qualmy Qualms. Shall we get on
to
to
rating.
the rating? So I'm first. I'm going to give this movie. I don't know why I'm acting like I'm thinking about it. I wrote it down. It's a 4.5.
4.5 for Josh. Caitlin.
4.7.
4.7 for Caitlin. Everyone.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear.
Everyone was quite right.
Yeah, I knew.
That was only for me.
Is it a
4.2?
1?
It is a 4.2.
Ah!
You were that was really good, Josh. So Caitlin and Josh gets shout outs, and then I have to find the Patreon votes and then shout out the people who guessed me. So
He's trying, everybody.
you have without a computer, without Corey doing this part. Shout out to Corey, y'all. If y'all listen to this episode, go to his DMs on Instagram and just
Tell him how lovely he is.
tell him you want more of him. You know,
All the day, every
you
day.
want more of him. You want to be with him. You want to ask Tom how he smells.
Just give him a
He
compliment.
smells.
That's
he smells
probably
pretty
the
good.
better route. Just give Corey some compliments.
I'm trying to view. Okay, view this thing. Okay, so for the votes for me, for Tom,
Tomothy.
shout out to Dana P,
Mm-hmm.
Dana P.
Mitchell G,
Mm-hmm.
and Justin. No
Mhm.
last name to talk about, and then Noe S.
Noe.
So all of y'all voted correctly. You guys are the Guess That Gator Grumper, Greg Guardian,
Greg Guardian?
Greg Guardian.
Greg Guardian. Heard it here first. Nerd
Wow.
on at madscape.com.
No.
Grumper, guessing.
Yeah.
Nerd
That's-
on. What?
And that's why Corey handles that part.
Yo, for the fact that we were 3, I was like, there was a lot. We had to do a lot of new stuff for this episode. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, this is true.
But we got through it together, and that's
We
what
did.
family's about.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what the whole movie is.
Yep, that's
I'm-
exactly.
I kind of want to look back a little bit at the qualms and then our favorite parts. None of us talked about Taskmaster because I think we were all
I
very,
talking about Taskmaster?
a little bit.
Antonia,
Antonia,
really.
yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I have things to say about
Same.
Taskmaster, but
Taskmaster walked real cool.
It was
She got
it was
bus
a
station.
Terminator. I really liked that it was a
Sorry.
I
Terminator.
do want to
vibe.
point out that she was a
I
Bond
like-
a Bond chick
She
at
is
one point.
a Bond girl.
So anyway, yeah, dope. Everybody, thank you so much for listening or watching. If you
And
are-
watching.
and watching, you
Listen
listen
and
you
watch.
YouTube.com/nerdonthepodcast. Help us break the algorithm so it can stop hiding us.
That's not our link.
Nerdon.tv
But here's why that's important.
/YouTube.
Here's why that's important. Nerdon.tv /YouTube. The reason why it's important is, like you pointed out on social media,
Yeah.
YouTube does this really cool thing.
So fun.
So fun. We have been on the brink of 1,000 subscribers
For years.
a long time.
Like 2
and
years.
YouTube keeps just being like, nope, including people reaching out to us going, I thought I was subbed.
Or like,
I remember
I
pressing
know
a
I
button,
subbed.
and
it
they cleaned it out.
unsubscribes them.
So the reason why we don't have that link yet, because that keeps happening.
Oh, yeah.
At 1,000 subs, things happen where we can get...
You can get a partnership with YouTube, which is why they try so hard to make sure you don't reach that milestone. Because if you do,
Well, just getting a custom link.
yeah,
Thanks,
yeah.
Obama.
Yeah, that's how that works.
Anyway, nerdon.tv/YouTube. Please
Yeah.
go subscribe and help us destroy the algorithm.
Yeah,
There it is.
Julie works really hard to edit these.
Yeah, she really does.
Don't do it for us. Do it for her.
Do it for
Yeah,
her.
Exactly. So yeah, check that out. Like I said at the top, do share us with your friends and family. Stop by, rate and review. That kind of stuff is important because that is, some people will make their decision about us based on that. So, and one last time, get 20% off and free shipping with the code NERDON at manscaped.com. That's 20% off.
Guys.
With free shipping at manscaped.com
Only
and
if
use
you're-
the code NERDON.
Only if you're plagued with south ball hair.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Or
the
you
official
just,
name.
You just want to keep your hygiene up, you know what I'm saying? Just get a little
Yeah.
clean up.
Yeah.
You know, feel smooth against your body.
Yeah. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job
For the family jewels.
Well, I wish
with
you
Manscaped.
look at me when you said that.
I just,
He did it right at me.
it was because you made such a joke about North and South Pole.
Well, I'm gonna bring
Anyway.
it up every time now.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening. We heart you all. Take care of yourselves. You know the job. You know the drill. What is wrong with me? As always,
Nerd on!
Ending broadcast.
Oh, shit. I should have a...
Yeah.
Wow, I'm Corey. I had to do that for Corey.
I'm so glad that was
I
recorded.
love that every aspect of your life is telling you to slow down right now.
Slow
like
the
every
fuck down,
aspect
Tom.
is like, Tom, why don't you calm down? Maybe move a little
It's not that hard,
slower."
bro. It's not that hard.